Well, good evening and happy May. So excited that you can join us. I'm just reading about the closed captioned, and that's a wonderful feature now that's available on these Zoom meetings. So I'm tickled to death for anyone that can benefit from it. Now we offer that closed caption. So first of all, I always have to thank our team, Tom Roth with our CTSI, Courtney Hayes with our Wake Forest University School of Medicine. We always have such wonderfully long names. And then Audrey Belfaro with our Alzheimer's Disease Research Center at our STIC Center. But mostly I welcome you, because if you weren't here, as I say, we wouldn't have anything to do on the second Tuesday of every month at 5:30. So thank you for being here. I just checked the weather before we started, 83 degrees out. And last week, I think I was wearing a jacket. So it's crazy how you get whiplash weather living in the South. But now that we are, I think, finally in late spring, our weather's warmer. It's gorgeous outside. I know about y'all, but for me, I'll never have fingernails because I've been out digging in the dirt. Love my garden. But this is a time where, those heavy meals that just have all the gravies and the sauces don't seem as appealing to me. I want something light. I want something fresh and easy to make, easy breezy. Okay, for Dawn to make. But anyway, so tonight we're really lucky that we have Chef Michael Spencer from Noble's Grill, from Roosters, a Noble Grill. He is going to be showing us how to make their signature Caesar salad with either grilled chicken or grilled shrimp. So Chef Michael, take it away.
Good morning. My name is Michael Spencer. I am the executive chef at Roosters, a Noble Grill off of Norwood Street here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I'd like to start by thanking Deb for giving me this opportunity to speak to you guys about some foods that hopefully we can prepare today you'll find in your heart to prepare for yourself. This is a part of Aging Well, and we hope you get to enjoy this salad, and we'll be doing a shrimp Caesar and a chicken Caesar salad today. And hopefully it finds its way to your palate. And here we are going to cook the proteins for the two salads we'll be doing, and both of them will be Caesar salads. And this we have seasoned American shrimp and seasoned with salt and pepper. And this is chicken breast that's seasoned with salt and pepper. And this chicken breast has been pre-cooked, so it's much easier for us to serve at the time of the guest needs it. So, and we pre-cook ours to 165 degrees. And now we're just going to heat it back up on the grill, and we'll serve it. And it takes about 7 minutes. And here we have the chicken on the grill, and now I'll put the shrimp. And I'd like to talk to you about the importance of consistency in food, the food that we eat on a regular basis, day to day. May not have all the fun twists that some people may like to see when they come out to eat here, but this is something that's going to be necessary to your home, something you can have on your average night, a Monday through Friday, that is very welcoming, filling, but also healthy. And the emphasis here is put on the health and on the proteins that we use, of being an American shrimp, and the chicken that we use is from Joyce Farms here in Winston. And we try to shop local whenever we possibly can, but being chefs, we do like foods from around the globe and around the world, and we find it very intriguing. So flavor profiles are always something that we like to gravitate towards. And sometimes they don't happen to be local, but we do try to, here at Roosters and Noble Grill, to focus on local foods and regional foods, and delivering our guests the best possible ingredients that we can find in our neighborhood, if you will. And now it should be close time to start to maintain our food over here. And of course, your shrimp take the least amount of time to cook, and they're usually about 4 minutes, 2 minutes per side on a hot grill. And here we use oak and hickory to grill on, and imparts a really good flavor into the food, and it's just yummy. And of course, if you didn't like these things on the wood-fired grill or your charcoal grill at home, you can always use a pan to sear your chicken breast in. I would say use olive oil over butter if you're looking for a healthier kick, because your dressing and your Caesar is going to require or have all your required fats in it. So you don't need to add any more fat to your diet if that's not necessary. You can always lean on your cook times with your meats they'll carry over a few minutes after they're pulled off the grill. And this is the cooked shrimp that we'll have on the salad here momentarily. And the chicken's got about 2 or 3 more minutes. If you don't pre-cook your chicken, you're looking at possibly a 7 to 14 minute cook time, depending on the thickness of your chicken breast. But pre-cooking it to 165 is a fail-safe way to manage your groceries at home a little better. And we do this at my home. Like, we'll buy a pack of chicken breast and then pre-cook them all, and then chill them, then wrap them tight, and then we can go to them at any moment throughout the week, and it's easy to grab and go, and it's much more convenient for a family like mine that is on the go a lot. But also, hopefully, as we age, we can stay busy and stay out in the community and thrive. So I really never want to see my household change from that very alive, if you will, household that you have things, you have obligations, you're out in the community, you're going to farmers markets, you're going to the grocery store, you adventure out into places that you may not have when you were a working person or before you retired. So hopefully this is something that we can look forward to as we do get older. Thank you. And this is our salad that we've pre-made, and we use romaine lettuce, very good fresh grated Parmesan Reggiano cheese, cured olives, and breadcrumbs that we've seasoned with garlic oil and shallot oil to sprinkle over top for crunch. You'll see a recipe for the dressing that we use on this as well, and you're welcome to use that or use your favorite dressing of any type. And you could put these proteins on any salad really that you would find greens at the farmer's market or something. But I know romaine is consistent. You can get it at the grocery store year round, and it's very filling. And as we do get older, we need to make sure that we're eating as many greens as we possibly can to keep the factory down there working well. And this is just a shrimp Caesar. And it's very simple. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You're not cooking for guests here at the restaurant. You're cooking for yourself, and doesn't always have to be so complicated. And now the chicken will be ready here momentarily. And I know this would make me very happy to eat this at home with my lovely wife. So I hope this finds you well, and I hope you get to get outside this spring. It's a lovely day today, and I hope you get to enjoy your day. Thank you. If you can't find the time to cook for yourself, please come see us at Roosters and Noble Grill off of Norwood Street, and we would greatly appreciate it.
You know, it's so fun to get to know these chefs and learn about their passion. His passion is older adults. And he says this is the second time he's cooked for us. And he goes, every time I do this, I feel like I'm teaching a class for my parents. So anyway, he just really appreciates our Aging Well folks. So thank you. Thank you for Chef Michael. Thank you for generously showing us how to make these easy but delicious meals. So I can't believe that my husband and I have lived in Winston-Salem now for 8 years. Time has just flown by so quickly, and I'm thinking almost 5 of them have been with you through Aging Well, either in person or the virtual version. So I have spent most of my time here in Winston with y'all, so I'm grateful. So thank you very much. And I say that because there are so many things that I and we are still exploring around this area. And one is Kerner's Folly. This was a place that I'd heard about so many times. And I thought, you know what? Let's take a road trip to Kerner's Folly. So Brittany Ashby is the operations and programs director at Kerner's Folly. So she is going to give us a behind the scenes tour. And it was even more fascinating than I could have imagined. So buckle up and let's go.
Thanks, Deb. It's wonderful to be a part of Aging Well in this program. I'm here to introduce you to this wonderful house museum of ours called Kerner's Folly. My name is Brittany Ashby. I'm the operations and programs manager here at the Folly, and I do all sorts of things from taking care of the collections objects to creating fun and engaging programs for our community for ages all the way from children to children's at heart, essentially. So here at Kerner's Folly, we are protecting a wonderful and exciting home of a talented and inspiring man named Jules Gilmer Kerner of the Kerner family. It is spelled a little differently, but it is of the same family. So he was a decorator, a wallpaper hanger, a painter, a kind of jack of all trades when it came to art, and this house was his portfolio, essentially. Everything in this home he designed and decorated, including the furniture, the wall ceiling murals, the different fixtures and moldings all over the place. He was an extremely revolutionary artist doing something that had never really been done before. So here at Kerner's Folly, you're going to see something that is definitely one of a kind. And that starts with how close we are to Main Street. It used to be the National Highway, and so Jules Kerner put his house almost right on top of the street, as you can hear, just so that people wouldn't miss his designs, and they certainly didn't. So I'm going to take you on a tour to some of my personal favorite rooms and some of those rooms that our guests absolutely love and enjoy, and you'll see how quirky and unique this house truly is. So come on inside and I'll show you around Mr. Jules Kerner's Folly. So welcome to the foyer of Kerner's Folly. Much quieter in here, but this is where clients of Mr. Jules Kerner, this man right here, where they could come into right from the road and pick out designs of anything from tile around a fireplace to wallpapers to the beautiful moldings that we have all over the place, and even the ceiling designs. So this man right here, Mr. Jules Kerner, was an artist, as I said before, but he originally started out as a portrait painter. So this is a self-portrait he completed when he was 23 years old, right near the end of his studies at the Philadelphia School of the Arts. It was also where he started to dabble in the decorative arts and get very interested in this really new business that was coming about. But he wanted to do it a little differently, in that he thought he could design everything. Before this period, only masters could perfect one of their crafts. So it was very strange for people to hear that he could design every aspect of a room design. So he kind of had to put his money where his mouth was, and so he built Kerner's Folly started the build in 1878, but completed it in 1880 to house his designs, but also to create a studio space so that he could continually craft his art, also keep up with the changing trends in decorative arts, and have office space for meeting clients or working with his different craftsmen for the trade. So Jewel never actually did any of the work. He only designed, but that was how he was able to spread out and network and get lots of clients all up and down the East Coast. He would send his team of craftsmen out once he had his job, and they would go and do the work that he designed for them. And this was very new for the time. One of the really interesting things about Kerner's Folly is the fact that of the 22 rooms, there are rooms with ceiling heights up to 25 feet, but also only about 5.5 feet, such as the children's rooms. Right off of the main bedroom is 2 of their children's rooms. They had 2 children, and so 1 for each. And as you can see, the ceiling heights are quite low. And so because of the nature of Mr. Kerner's business, in that he was using his own home as a type of showroom and catalog for what he could do, even the children's rooms have very elegant and detailed moldings, wallpaper designs, and even the furniture in this room was designed by him. The toys and the different objects all around this house almost are entirely the family's personal objects that they used on a daily basis. So that makes us one of a very unique set of historic house museums, because instead of remaking the different objects, we restore them to the best of our ability to make them as nice as we can, but they are authentic to the family, to the time, and to the house itself. So we have small rooms in this house, but we also have grand reception rooms as well. So this room was actually a multi-purpose room, if you will. It was a place for Mr. Kerner to build furniture that he himself designed. It was a place for him to work on his art as an artist. It was also a place to entertain his friends, his family, the community at large. And that's what he really envisioned this house to be something that people could keep coming back to, enjoying his art and everything he could do, and also a place for his family to have their friends and their guests from school, for his wife's women's organizations and clubs. She loved clubs. So there was always lots of people coming in and out of this house, and this was one of the main rooms for this space. Every single piece of furniture in this room, apart from one, was designed by Mr. Kerner. The one piece he did not design was this one right here. It's actually a cabinet from the Columbia's World Fair, and he picked this up in the Chinese pavilion where there were lots of objects to purchase, and so this he purchased there and had it shipped here via the railroad from Chicago. and he assembled it in this room. So all of the objects in this room are original to this home, designed by him or purchased directly by him as well. So this May, we have a lot of exciting information and tours about our efforts at the historic preservation of Kerner's Folly. We have, for the last few years, been really focusing in on making sure this house gets back to its heyday. Every single room in this house, we have goals to completely restore, and we've done 15 rooms, 2 of which are halfway done. We have a little bit more to go, and so we only have a few more left. This is one of them, but something about Jules Kerner's designs are that they're so beautiful that it really cuts through any of the deterioration over time, and we really want our guests to experience that. So you're seeing how this room has aged over time, and one day we do hope to fully restore every single room in this house. And so this May, we have a program on May 12th, where we are doing a specific guided tour on historic preservation and restoration, where there will be experts here talking to the guests about their efforts on this house in particular, or what's happening in our community at large in Forsyth County, in just North Carolina, and the preservation efforts that we all are trying to do to preserve our history. And so that'll be, again, May 12th. And any information about any of our guided tours, whether they be specific or if you want to do one yourself, they can be found on our website, which is kernersfolly.org. So this house's history and ownership is actually one of the interesting parts of the history. This house has always, or was always, in the family's ownership. Mr. Jules Kerner, he died in 1924, and the house went to his wife. She passed away in 1934, and so both of her children, Doré and Gilmer, had sort of joint ownership over the house, but both of them had very established lives, and they would occasionally use it for family functions or spring events. But for the most part, the house sat vacant for years and years and years. After the Great Depression came through America, and then we had World War II, the house was boarded up for almost 30 years, which led to a lot of the deterioration that we do have in the house today. However, in the late 1960s, the town of Kernersville was looking to improve its infrastructure, improve some of the buildings around the town, and one of the buildings that they thought needed much improvement was Kerner's Folly. However, the family at the time, it was going to be a huge undertaking to be able to fully restore or to fix a lot of the major issues. And so the town was asking simply to demolish the property, which would have been an extreme loss for the Kernersville community, but for all of this artwork and furniture that would have been lost as well. So luckily, the town of Kernersville really rallied behind the house. 26 families from all around here banded together, pooled their money, fundraised, and they were able to purchase Kerner's Folly and immediately put it on the National Register of Historic Places to protect it. However, they still were unsure about what to do with it, how to restore it. And so another 30-ish years go by before a final push for making this house a fully functioning house museum where we can continue to preserve Kerner's Folly for the enjoyment of the public for many, many years to come. So we are a nonprofit organization. We are a separate foundation. And we've been doing this since about 2000. So welcome to Cupid's Park Theater, one of the very first, if not the first, private theaters in America. This, however, originally was just the game room of the house. It was where they could play pool or cards, or if they wanted to do a little dancing as well. But the theater came about after Jewel Kerner's wife, Polly Alice, really noticed that there wasn't a great representation of the dramatics and art for children in the community. So, basing the ages off of her own family members and her children themselves, her daughter was 7 years old at the time, and one of her nieces was 13, so she used that as the age range. And she went into the community and hand-selected students who she thought would be really great at doing acting and theater and plays. And so invited them to Kerner's Folly. The first meeting of the children, there were lots and lots and lots of children interested, and that's when Jewel had the idea that we need a place to put these plays on. So he took his game room in the attic and he made Cupid's Park Theater. And it got that name from all of the Cupids that are painted all around the walls. The man who painted all of the ceilings in this home, his name was Caesar Milch. He was a freehand fresco painter from Germany who went to the Royal School of Art in Berlin. Jewel met him briefly after he had gotten married to Polly Alice, and he had invited him to Kerner's Folly, really loving the work that he had done, invited him here to paint this as a wedding gift to Polly Alice. And so he started on this, but at that point, he was hooked on the town of Kernersville and on Kerner's Folly itself. So Caesar Milch lived here for the rest of his life, essentially, and would work with the Reuben Ring Company, which was the name of Jewel Kerner's interior design business. He would work with them also for the rest of his life, because that kind of talent you can't find in a lot of places, and Jewel knew that. So his art is all over the ceilings of Kerner's Folly, as well as the walls, as you see. But this one room of our house really is, a jewel for Kerner's Folly, but also for Kernersville itself. Many people in the community remember coming here and watching plays put on by the Kernersville Little Theater. We still do presentations and productions as well, and we hope to start doing more plays in the future as well. But this space is truly a magical representation of what Jewel Kerner could do with his interior design business, but also just with his genius and his talent as well. So we are always putting on community type events as well as productions and things like that. And this house, we don't want just to be a museum to come through and to look at, but to be a place that the community can be involved in. They can come to productions here. They can come to our October Festival that we have every single year on our lawn. They can come to our markets that we have as well and tour the house and look at the family objects. We want this to not only be about the history of the family, but a place where people in the community can continue that history on. So we do lots of events, and we're always looking for volunteers and people who are interested in this type of history to come and participate in the different things that we have going on. And it truly is a unique place to be involved in because of just how close we are with the community, how close we are with the family who we're still connected with this house. It's a unique history and a unique place. So definitely come and see us, talk to us. We love to meet new people. We love getting new guests and new visitors, and just watching the wonder that they have when they come to this place and see it, because like I said in the beginning, it really is one of a kind.
And I will tell you, the video did not do that house justice. It was just amazing. Every turn was more beautiful and more unique than the one before. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for going on that little road trip with me. And I am so excited about our feature speaker tonight, because her topic, how to thrive with diabetes, I think is something that so many people are going to be hungry to learn. So our speaker tonight is Emily Matney. She is the Diabetes Education Program Coordinator for Atrium Health, Wake Forest Baptist, the Diabetes and Endocrinology Center. So I'm going to ask Emily to take it away. I am so eager to hear what she has to say.
Thank you so much, Deb. I've just been honored to be a part of this program. Thank you so much for having me this evening. And I've really been looking forward to talking with everybody about, again, thriving with diabetes. So yes, I am a diabetes care and education specialist, which is a really long way of saying that I work every day with people living with diabetes. And my hope for you in the next half hour or so is that whether you yourself are living with diabetes or care for somebody, that you're able to take away some tips, tricks, tools, resources, support, something from this talk that is helpful in your life. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen. All right, here we go.
It looks perfect.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so I want to take a moment to recognize that living with diabetes can often feel very overwhelming. There's a lot of information out there, and it's easy to feel alone at times. But I want you to know that there is a whole large community of people who are going through the same thing, who are feeling these same emotions. You are not alone in this. There is a community of healthcare providers who are dedicated to finding creative ways to help fit living with diabetes into your life so that you can live your best life. You just got to know where to look to find this support and find these resources. Diabetes is something that is very prevalent in our community. I'm going to start with pre-diabetes here. 96 million people. This is just in the United States alone. That's more than 1 in every 3 people are living with pre-diabetes. So this is very common. It's very prevalent in our community. And I'm going to come back in just a moment to what exactly pre-diabetes is. But diabetes itself, this is also 1 in about every 10 people. 37 million people just in the United States. So again, there is a very large community of people who are going through these same experiences and trying to find ways to live a healthy life and to live their best life. So what exactly is pre-diabetes? I'm going to start with pre-diabetes here. So there is a test called a hemoglobin A1C. And this is a blood test that can be checked with your primary care provider. And it shows us essentially a 3-month average snapshot of your blood sugar control. And if you fall within this range, this 5.7 to 6.4, that tells us that your blood sugars are running a little higher than they should, but not quite high enough yet to be diagnosed with diabetes. So this is a window that we have to really implement some good lifestyle changes to help delay or prevent altogether the onset of type 2 diabetes. So lifestyle changes, again, are very, very important and crucial in this window that we have to make these changes. And what do I mean when I say lifestyle changes? I mean nutritional management, making healthy meal choices, moving your body, becoming more active. How do we cope with stress? These type of changes in our lives. But how do you know if you have prediabetes, or how do you know if you're at risk for developing diabetes? Well, again, you do have to be officially diagnosed with this A1C, but there is also a test. This takes literally 60 seconds to complete. It is a very short, very effective test, and you can access it with this website that I have listed at the bottom. So this is a diabetes risk assessment test. And again, it's very short, but it is very effective. And if you score a 5 or higher in this test, it tells us that you may have prediabetes or that you are at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. So what then if you are at risk? Well, Medicare covers the National Diabetes Prevention Program. This is a 12-month program where you work with a trained lifestyle coach, and they help you implement these changes in your life. How do you manage stress? How do you move your body? Where do you start? How do you maintain those lifestyle changes through periods of lack of motivation or burnout? Because it is difficult. It is hard to do. This program is highly effective. It's been shown to halve the risk for developing type 2 diabetes. So again, the best thing I can tell you is to know if you are at risk, to take this test, and to find a DPP program near you. So they are offered everywhere. And I'll talk towards the end about ways to find these programs in your area. Again, this is a very effective benefit that's covered by Medicare. So I'm going to take a moment to talk about what exactly diabetes is. Now, anything over a 6.4 for your A1C, so again, that's that 3-month average snapshot that we look at. Anything over 6.4 is what we define as diabetes. There are different types of diabetes. We have type 1, type 2, gestational. My main focus today is on type 2 because over 90% of people that have diabetes have type 2 diabetes. Now, when we eat carbohydrates, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that is, those carbohydrates turn to sugar in our blood. This is for everybody. And our bodies produce insulin from an organ called the pancreas. Now, insulin is supposed to move that sugar out of the blood, and it allows us to use that sugar for energy. But when you have diabetes, your body's either not making enough insulin on its own, or you are making insulin, but it's just not doing its job very well. And that sugar stays kind of trapped in the blood, and over time, it leads to high blood sugars. High blood sugars over time is where we diagnose diabetes and what down the road can lead to complications. So again, our bodies produce insulin. Insulin's role is to use that sugar for energy. But when you have diabetes, you're either not making enough, or it's there, it's just not doing its job. Now, there are risk factors that do put you at a higher risk for developing type 2 diabetes. Family history is a huge one. Genetics play a very strong role in if you develop type 2 diabetes. And I want to point out here that a lot of times I think receiving this diagnosis, unfortunately, comes with a lot of feelings of guilt or shame, or did I do something? Did I eat something that may have caused this? And that's not true. We need to get away from that thought process. These are the risk factors that put you at a higher risk for developing type 2 diabetes. And it's important to know for yourself that this is not something you did that caused this diagnosis. This is not your fault. There are ways that we treat diabetes, but we need to be very mindful of the language that we use around diabetes. So again, having prediabetes or having gestational diabetes, like when you're pregnant, family history, lack of activity, over age 45, overweight, and certain ethnicities are at a higher risk as well. Now, there are some warning signs that I want you to be aware of as reasons to go talk to your physician or your provider, your primary care doctor. These are signs that we see with high blood sugars. So especially being very thirsty or having to urinate or pee a lot more than usual. Those are very common symptoms of high blood sugars. And I mean, when I say thirsty, you just cannot get enough to drink. You really are very, very thirsty and maybe now getting up all throughout the night to go to the bathroom. Losing weight without trying. Blurry vision that comes and goes, feeling very fatigued, very hungry, sores that take a long time to heal, or more infections than usual, like UTIs, things like that. So these are all reasons that you should talk to your doctor and see if maybe you should be tested for diabetes. Okay, so we've got this diagnosis. So now what do we do? How do we treat diabetes? I want to point out here, these are the 4 main topics that we're focusing on, and they are all equally important. Every single one of these is just as important as the other, which means that we cannot rely on medications and not do the lifestyle changes, or only lifestyle changes but not check blood sugar. Okay, these are all very important, and I know that that is a lot that we as healthcare providers ask of you, to be mindful of all of these different areas, but I want to reframe that thinking into that gives you a lot of power. It gives you a lot of control over how your diabetes is managed, because 3 out of 4 of these, you are the driver, right? What food we put into our bodies, how we move our bodies, checking blood sugar so that we have more information. And we have a lot of medication options, which is a good thing. So we're going to talk through each one of these. Okay, so our nutritional management, there is one point that I really want to emphasize right here, and that there is no diabetes diet. I'm going to say this again, there is no diabetes diet. There is so much information that you can find online about what you should and should not eat, and it is about balance. There is not one food that you cannot have anymore, or one drink that you cannot drink anymore, okay? It is about understanding the food on your plate and how to find that balance. If you love chocolate chip cookies, you have a chocolate chip cookie. It just means that maybe you don't have the cookie and the mashed potatoes and the fried chicken and the mac and cheese. That might be too much. So we've got to give and take a little bit, again, to create that balance and make sure that we're having healthy choices, but there is no one diet to follow. Now, all food is broken up into 3 main, what we call macronutrients. So all food is made up of carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Again, carbohydrates is what turns into sugar in the blood. So carbohydrates is the main focus when we talk about your blood sugars. Main sources of carbohydrates are things like bread, rice, pasta, all fruit is a carbohydrate, milk, yogurt. I want to point out sweetened beverages, and by this I mean juice, regular soda, and sweet tea are all made up of mostly carbohydrates. Okay, protein is our meats, chicken, pork, fish, shrimp, seafood, eggs, cheese, turkey, things like that. And then we have fats, where we have like our avocados, oil. Think of things that you cook with: butter, oil, condiments like mayonnaise or sour cream, cream cheese. Those are main sources of fat. So again, all food is made up of these 3 categories, and we need to be mindful of those carbohydrates. Again, it's not that you can't have them. We just need to find that balance. Which brings me to the balanced plate, and we talk about this a lot. I think this is a good way that you can have kind of a general eyeball of your plate and know that we're hitting the right portion sizes. So we want to focus on filling half the plate with non-starchy vegetables. So our tomatoes, our salads, our Caesar salad that we just learned about would be perfect right here. Onions, asparagus, cucumbers, all of that falls into non-starchy vegetables. A quarter of the plate is where we hit our protein source. And then a quarter of the plate we save for the carbohydrates. So whether that's our fruit or potatoes or rice or bread, but especially if you're going out to eat somewhere, this is a good way to split your plate and know again that we're hitting the right portions. Okay, so tips and tricks. This is just the tip of the iceberg for information on meal planning. So it is really valuable to work with a dietitian to learn more about how to read food labels. Where do you look at the food label and what are we paying attention to, and to really individualize your meal plan. There is no one size fits all for how many carbohydrates to eat. It really depends on a whole variety of things. I'm going to talk more about Medicare benefits, but I will say in the first year of being diagnosed, you have 3 hours dedicated just to medical nutrition therapy with a dietitian that's covered. So we really want to utilize that if we can. Tips for going out to eat. If you are going out, go ahead and get the to-go box at the beginning of the meal and put half your plate in the to-go box. There's just something that we like about finishing our plate. So go ahead and put half of it away, and then you can still finish your plate and cut back on the portion size a little bit. Maybe decline that basket of chips and bread, because it is so easy to just start talking and you just start eating, and the next thing you know, we're through 2 baskets of bread. Focus on putting in some more lean proteins, more vegetables into your meals. That helps you feel full. When you're at home, if you like to snack, try not to snack directly out of the bag or the box. Like, pour it out into a separate bowl, because it is very easy to eat more than we think when we're eating straight from the bag or the box. And if there is one thing that I could say that will really help, we often tell people to save the carbohydrates for your plate, for your food, which means to drink unsweetened beverages. Focus on water, diet soda instead of regular soda, unsweet tea instead of sweet tea. And then you have more room for those carbohydrates on your plate if we can cut back on the sugary beverages. There's also something that Chef Michael said that I really liked, and that's that simple is okay. This does not need to be complex. It doesn't need to be complicated. I don't expect you to prepare full, 3-4 course meals at home. Simple is okay, and that's a good thing. All right, physical activity right here. Small changes can make a really big difference. Okay, just start to move your body. Increasing your activity can help you in several different ways. One directly related to your blood sugar is that the more active that you are, your insulin can do its job better. It can help pull that sugar out of the blood so that you can use it. So the more we move our bodies, the better our insulin works. It helps relieve stress. It lowers risk for other complications. It helps promote weight loss. The goal for adults is 150 minutes a week, and we can break that up how we want to. Okay, so that means if we want to do 30 minutes 5 days a week, or if you want to do 20 minutes twice a day, 4 days a week, that's okay. That's good. However we need to break it up is okay. But where do we even get started with physical activity? Pick something that you like to do, that you enjoy. I loved the Kerner's Folly House. That was so interesting, and that's a good way to get out and walk and move around. Gardening, going for a walk, things that you enjoy and things that you like to do, because it is hard to maintain activity if you're not doing something that you enjoy. Start slow, work with your doctor about what's okay for you. We do want to make sure that you're wearing appropriate footwear. We need well-fitting shoes so that we are protecting your feet. Foot care is very, very important when we talk about diabetes. Exercising with a friend or joining some type of class, those are things that hold you accountable so that it's harder to back out at the last minute. Accountability is a good thing, and it keeps us proactive in our own care, making it a habit. And again, I would recommend that you talk with your doctor before starting an exercise program, just to make sure that you are protecting your body. Again, make it fun, make it fun. Medications. So I'm going to talk just very briefly on medications, but it is important that you understand your options and that you understand what your medications are doing for you. With type 2 diabetes, we have a lot of options, and that's a great thing. That means that you and your provider can work together to find something that is really tailored to what you need. What works for one person does not work for all. And I think, again, this is where we have great options. Some people experience side effects, some people don't. All of these medications work in slightly different ways. And so we can really work together to figure out what exactly is going to be the best option for you. I want to make a note here that a lot of times we do hear that insulin is harmful or that it's not a good thing, but it is. You have no control over how much insulin your own body is making, okay? If you are not producing enough insulin on your own, that's to no fault of your own. Your body's just not making it. And we need insulin from an outside source, whether that be from pens or vials, or some people are on a pump. Insulin is something that we all need to survive. And so if you have to take insulin, that's okay. That's okay. For people with type 1 diabetes, insulin is the only treatment option that we have right now. Keep these tips in mind when we talk about medications. Consistency is very important. So making sure that we're not skipping doses, not taking extra doses. It is very important that you take these medications as prescribed and that we stay consistent. So that means if you need to set some reminders in your phone, set some alarms as a reminder, that's okay. I have lots of people that do that, and it really helps. Talk with your doctor if you are having side effects. Again, what works for one person does not work for everybody, and that's okay. We need to find what works for you. Also, we are tailoring these medications to your blood sugar control. So change is normal and it's expected. We often will change doses. If your blood sugars are trending too high, then we may need to increase the medication. If you're trending too low, then we take away some. So these constant changes, that is very expected. And it is important that you call your doctor if you're having high or low blood sugars. Sometimes affordability can be a concern with these medications. So I've listed out 2 websites here that can help with the affordability of these medications. Okay, checking blood sugars. Quick note about checking blood sugars. Blood sugars are not good or bad. We got to take away from that verbiage there. It is information for you and your provider to use to know how to adapt and what to change moving forward. Keep a log so that we can watch for patterns, and perfection is not expected. I do not expect any person's blood sugars to be completely in control at all times, okay? We need to look at the big picture, overall blood sugar control. Really brief note on continuous glucose monitors. We're seeing these more and more in the community. So people who are on insulin or at a high risk for low blood sugars, this is something that Medicare may cover for you that would constantly read your blood sugars. Now, these are the target blood sugars from the American Diabetes Association. Your doctor may tailor this depending, again, on your individualized plan. But in general, in the morning before you eat breakfast, we're trying to get you to about 80 to 130. I'm going to go ahead and move on so that we've got some time at the end for questions, but I want to make a note here about how to support your loved ones. It is really important to validate these emotions of feeling angry, overwhelmed, scared, sad about having diabetes. They're normal and they are expected. And we need to say that it's okay. It's okay to experience those emotions. Keep living your life, go out and do the things that you enjoy. We just may need to plan ahead. We need to stay away from phrases like you can't eat that or you can't do that. We can fit diabetes into your life. Sometimes we just have to get kind of creative with it, and that's a good thing. That's okay. And empowering the people living with diabetes to take control of their health. What do you have control over? What you eat, what we put into our bodies, how we move, set achievable goals, and celebrate the small wins. Did you get up and go for a 20-minute walk today? Good for you. I am so proud of you. Did you check your blood sugar every day this week, at least in the morning? We're going to put aside what those blood sugars were. I'm so proud of you for checking your blood sugar every day. That is a great thing. So find and celebrate the small wins. I have a lot of resources listed out right here. I do want to point out the third one down, diabetes.findhelp.com. You type in your zip code and it tells you resources near you in your area for diabetes. And again, Medicare does cover the diabetes prevention program as well as diabetes education. 10 hours of diabetes education the first year that you're diagnosed. So these are wonderful tools and resources that you have. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
And this is where we want to remind people, any questions you have for Emily, put them in the chat. We have got our expert here who is, thank you so much for giving us such a wonderful and, dare I say, uplifting talk on diabetes. I've heard the topic discussed many, many times, but I really appreciate how you have made this, you really hit the nail on the head, how to thrive having diabetes. So we have gotten our first question. I'm going to jump over there. So does chair yoga count as an activity?
Yes, yes, it does. Absolutely. Yes, I really, any movement that you do with your body, I really can't stress enough that it does bring your blood sugars down. And you can even trial and error it. If you're checking your blood sugar, check before and check after and see the effect that it has.
You got a hooray for that response. So
Good.
And, you know, and I have learned, you know, through so many aging and Alzheimer's brain health talks is it doesn't have the exercise, the physical activity doesn't have to be overwhelming. Instead of driving around 10 minutes looking for the closest parking place, make maybe a commitment to yourself that I'm going to park at the other end of the row and just walk to church or the grocery store or wherever. So there's ways we can incorporate physical activity into what we're doing. This has been all right. You have another comment. This has been the most informative talk on diabetes that I've ever heard. Thank you so much for your expertise.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Well, it's wonderful to hear this because I've heard from so many people that you get the diabetes diagnosis and it feels like your life is over. And it's not. I mean, I'm telling you, and just as a reminder to everybody, you are going to get Emily's notes. You're going to get her handouts, plus any other resources that she has that she is able to share with you. So just know that you're going to get all of that in your follow-up email. Another comment, great presentation. Does the intensity of exercise is the intensity of exercise important for lowering blood sugar more than light exercise?
So different types of exercise do affect our blood sugars in different ways. In general, though, whether it's anaerobic or aerobic, any movement to your body will usually bring your blood sugars down. If there's anybody on the call that is type 1 or knows somebody with type 1, sometimes our recommendations do change a little bit with that activity. And if it's a very stressful or vigorous activity, we have to be a little bit more cautious and mindful of blood sugar control. The other thing I didn't mention in the slides is with activity, if you are at any risk for low blood sugars, you really do need to carry an extra snack or some juice, something that if you did have a low blood sugar, you can treat with.
I don't know if we have any more questions coming in, but I will second and third what people have said. Thank you so much for sharing such wonderful information and sharing it in a way that clearly has been understood by our attendees. So until next month, I want to thank you, encourage everybody to stay active, stay safe, have fun. And I'm going to see you again, hopefully on June 13th. Make a date, second Tuesday of every month at 5:30. So until then, have fun.